What is going on, y'all? Thank you for joining us here on Mission Ready Men briefing on the SHR Media Network. Today is Thursday, January 23rd, and we're going to get a little more into some of the pardons that I didn't really get to the way I wanted to the other day. And we're going to talk about a fake bishop lecturing the president and by extension, the rest of us, and the wins that just keep piling up. We're going to get into all of that and more. But before we dive in, do me a favor and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave some comments, share the video. Let me know if you think I said something incorrect. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. The comments definitely help us out as much as liking and sharing and subscribing. They help us out with the algorithm because the tech tyrants are still they're still trying to suppress our content and our message. And in addition to all of those things, please pray for us. Pray for all of us here at SHR Media, Sackhead Sean with the Edge of Liberty, Jersey Joe, the Reaver of Common Sense, and BZ at the Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Pray that we all have a breakthrough and start reaching as many people as we possibly can. But thank you for joining us here on the SHR Media Network. You can follow this show at Mission Ready Men on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And for our merch, head over to missionreadymen.com. And also, you can find our merch also at carrygirl.com. And there's a men's section over there. So fellas, please head over there for Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is coming up quick. So you want to make sure you get your orders in so that you can have a good Valentine's Day. All right. Now that some of the business is out of the way, let's go ahead and get after it. President Trump issued a number of executive orders, and he also pardoned a bunch of people. He pardoned all of the J6 protesters, and a lot of people are up in arms about that. The left is losing their minds because they think that everyone who did anything, whether they walked away with a lectern or put their feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk or engaged in some violence, they think all of them are created equal and all of them deserve to rot in prison for the rest of their lives. Because according to them, January 6th was the absolute worst day in the history of our republic. And nothing could be further from the truth. It just shows that they have a glaring lack of historical knowledge. And we're not going to get into all of debunking all that. That's ridiculous. We can do that. We can do that some other time. But one of the things I did want to get into was some of the pardons, and one of the pardons that I was really happy for. Obviously, happy for all of the prisoners who have been or are about to be released. There are some prisoners that are still in custody for whatever reason. They're defying President Trump's order, and so we'll see how that plays out in the coming days and weeks. But one of the pardons that I really wanted to get into was the pardon of Steve Baker. He is an investigative journalist for The Blaze, and he was just there documenting what happened. He was an independent journalist at the time. He wasn't working for the Blaze at the time, and he was just following the crowd, documenting what was happening, videoing and writing articles and things like that. And he got swept up in it. He was perp walked. He engaged in no violence. He engaged in no illegal activity except for maybe possibly trespassing, if you even want to go that far. And he was pardoned. And it was a great day. I don't have the clip. There's a number of clips where he's talking to Sarah Gonzalez on the Blaze and some other interviews where he's talking about it. Some of these people who have been swept up in this J6 debacle, it's just fantastic that Trump pardoned them. Steve Baker being one of them. One of the other ones that Trump pardoned was Enrique Tarrio. He wasn't released immediately, but he has since been released, and he was the leader of the Proud Boys, and the Proud Boys were a target of the left from the beginning. He wasn't even in DC. He wasn't even in DC when on January 6th, but because he exchanged some text messages with some people who were there, and I haven't seen the text messages. I haven't read all of the court documents pertaining to his case, but I've read enough about it to know that maybe he deserved to have some sort of consequence for stirring up some of his Proud Boys members. I don't know, but he was sentenced to 22 years, I believe, in prison and he wasn't even there. It's ridiculous. And so he was released, and I'm happy about that as well. President Trump pardoning these people is a good thing. The left is going to continue to lose their minds. They're going to continue to call him a fascist. They're going to continue to call him an insurrectionist and all the other ists that they can put on him. But none of it is true. There is another group of people that need to be pardoned, and I hope it happens sooner rather than later. I'm actually surprised it didn't happen the same time as he pardoned the J6 prisoners, but there's a group of 21 pro-life advocates who were rounded up and incarcerated for peacefully protesting at some baby killing clinics. And one of them, all of them are unfairly and I would say illegally detained right now in prison. One of them being Bevelyn Williams, who was simply praying in front of one of these clinics and was arrested. All of them were arrested and charged and convicted for violating the SAVE Act, which basically just prevents people from well, the way they use it is they use it to prevent people from praying and peacefully protesting at these clinics. But it doesn't go the other way. There have been pro-baby murder groups who have protested in front of crisis pregnancy centers where they don't facilitate baby killing, and none of them have ever been arrested. So we know where the left's priorities are, and we know that they are all for baby murder. But I want to take a look at this article at Live Action, and I don't think I actually have it pulled up. Nope, here we go. Because President Trump actually promised that he would pardon these people, and a lot of people are slightly upset that he hasn't actually done it yet. And so friends and family urge President Trump to fulfill his promise to pardon pro-life activists. Now, he's been making this promise for a long time. I think he made his first promise to do this back in, well, it was last summer, where he promised to get pro-lifers out of the, quote, gulags and back to their families where they belong. And he made that promise during a speech at the Faith and Freedom Coalition. And that was a great promise. It's day 3 or day 4 of his presidency. Day 3. And we're still waiting. And I have full confidence that he's going to do it. But I just think that now is the time. And the longer he waits, the more pressure is going to be put on him, and the more people are going to question. And I don't think that, like I said, I think he's going to do it. But the longer he waits, the more people are going to question his word and whether or not he's going to keep it. I think he will. I'm confident that he will, because these people do not belong in prison, and there's no issue in terms of violent offenders with this group of people. They were all just praying and singing in front of these clinics, these baby killing facilities, and so it's just I think it's just a matter of time. And this is Beverly Williams. She's one of the ones that was arrested and incarcerated, and she actually just had a baby not too long ago. So she's away from her almost newborn baby. This is unconscionable. This should not be happening in a free society that values free speech. And we all know that the Biden administration and those commies did not value free speech. And we don't have time to get into all of that, because that would take us down a rabbit hole we'd never get out of. But President Trump, I am urging him to go ahead and pardon these people and let them go home and rejoin their families, as he stated in his speech. Now, it wasn't just Trump. We all know that Biden had a flurry of pardons, in his last days and even minutes of his presidency. We talked about last time his the pardons of his family, but we didn't really get into the pardoning of the J6 committee and Dr. Fauci. So I want to get into that a little bit before we move on. But this is Chuckles, or as some people have called him in the past. Schumer talking about the preemptive pardons, and we all know that that's what Biden did. But it wasn't that long ago when that was something that was unacceptable.
The president seems intent on filling each of his remaining days in office with petulance, grievance, self-interest. The president's reportedly asking his staff about whether he can issue. President's reportedly asking his staff whether he can issue preemptive pardons for himself, his family members, Rudy Giuliani. There's a simple answer: no. No, Mr. President.
No.
That would be a gross abuse of the presidential pardon authority. The president seems intent on
a gross abuse of the presidential pardon authority. Except for his mention of Rudy Giuliani, he could have given that speech a week ago, because every word of it applied to what Biden did. Every word. And so Biden pardoned the J6 committee, Bernie Williams, Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Pencil Neck Schiff, all of those people. And Schiff was another one that said that if you've done nothing wrong, you shouldn't need a pardon. Well, he didn't turn it down. So what did he do wrong? Well, we all know. We all know they destroyed evidence. We all know they all lied. We all know that they are guilty of numerous crimes for which they have now been pardoned, possibly. There is a question as to whether or not the pardon actually is valid, because the Supreme Court has said that, and his own Justice Department, and forgive me if I mentioned this, the other day, but his own Justice Department and the Supreme Court both have said that in order for a pardon to be valid, basically, you have to have been charged and convicted of a crime. So a preemptive pardon really shouldn't have any standing whatsoever. I know that it stood with, I know that Ford pardoned Nixon before he was formally charged with anything. So there's that precedent. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, the J6 committee and their ridiculous pardons. I hope there's a way we can get around that. I hope there's a way we can get around. I hope there's a way we can get around the pardon, because the pardon should not stand. And so another person who was pardoned preemptively is Dr. Anthony Fauci. And we all know that Fauci is, we all know Fauci has already been proven to have lied to Congress, which is a felony. And so, I mean, Fauci's career goes back decades. He is probably the most prolific mass murderer ever. Between his involvement in the HIV and AIDS vaccines and all of the deaths that he is responsible for around that, and then COVID. He is as responsible for the deaths of so many people as anyone. I would say he is perhaps the most responsible for all of the deaths that occurred in this country for people who died from COVID, not with COVID, because we all know that that's a whole other thing, but who died of COVID. And I have a video here that I want to show you guys. I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's about 5 minutes from Grabian. I'll have a link to it up in the show notes. It's not there right now, but after the show's over, I'll add it because it's worth watching. He is one of the most smug, arrogant, self-important, just and evil people that I've ever seen in the political sphere. And that's saying a lot when you have people like Bill and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama in the mix. But check this out, because this is something.
Criticizing science, because I represent science.
If you're vaccinated, you really don't need to worry about getting it in a way that's serious or transmitting.
That is true. That is correct, Chris. It'll either protect you completely against infection, and the chances are very likely that you'll not be able to transmit it to other people.
Lie. 100% lie. We all knew it then. We knew it then, but it has since been proven that that is completely false. And he knew it. He absolutely knew it when he said it.
The risk is extremely low of transmitting it to anybody else. Full stop. Vaccinated people are clearly capable of transmitting the infection. When you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better. If people are not wearing masks, then maybe we should be mandating it. I often myself wear 2 masks.
And I'm quoting you now, at the population level, masks work at the margins, maybe 10%. To hear that they only work at the margins, maybe 10%, would make a lot of people ask, okay, then why was I wearing a mask?
You're really attacking not only Dr. Anthony Fauci, you're attacking science when you say.
I will never forget hearing that for the first time. When you attack Fauci, you're attacking science. Does it get any more arrogant than that? It really doesn't. That was a rhetorical question. That is about as arrogant a statement as you will ever hear from anyone. When you attack me, you attack science. Unbelievable.
That this is going to go away tomorrow like magic, when you know that there's no chance it's going to just disappear. We hope this just goes away, burns itself out.
So my question is, why weren't you straight with the American people about this to begin with?
So the bottom line is, it's a guesstimate. I gave a range.
It seemed in that quote to suggest that you were basing your recommendation on polling and what people could accept. Is that not what you meant?
No, I mean, it's a bit of that.
We're seeing all of these school closures around the country. Is that the right move for children and families?
You know, and I think what's going on right now is generally an appropriate approach. You want to start doing something to socially distance yourself. How dramatic that is, closing schools and doing other things, should be proportionate.
But it wasn't proportionate. So many children suffered so much and were set back so far because of the school closure nonsense. And wearing masks in schools, and kids had developmental issues because they couldn't see the way their teachers were speaking to them. And some kids just didn't want to wear the masks, and so that caused a whole other. This guy is a menace.
Too far, that particularly for kids who couldn't go to school except remotely, that it's forever damaged them.
Well, I don't think it's forever irreparably damaged anyone.
The U.S. Surgeon General has called it an urgent public health crisis.
Of course, he doesn't think it permanently damaged anyone, but he's wrong. He's been wrong about everything, and he's wrong about that. Kids who went through that still have not recovered, still have not reached the developmental stage that they would have been at had they not dealt with those lockdowns for so long. And the fact that this guy got pardoned is infuriating, absolutely infuriating. Now, I got to get off that, because another rabbit hole we could go down and spend all of our time on. But there's something else that happened since we were last together that was infuriating. And I don't know, should I do? No, you know what? Let's just go ahead and before we get to our sponsor. But I'm talking about Bishop Marianne Budde, who is the bishop of the Episcopal Diocese in Washington. Now, that should have been the first clue, because she's not a bishop. She's not really a bishop. She is she's a clown cosplaying a religious leader. And so that should have been the first clue. The second clue should have been her history of being a Trump hater, and whoever was responsible for putting this together, because just like the Secret Service has an advance team, his event staff have an advance team. They would have been vetting this person, and it only would have taken a quick Google search or whatever your favorite search engine is. Mine is Results Hunter now. I couldn't remember the name of it a few maybe a week or so ago when we were last together, when I mentioned it. It's Results Hunter. Check it out. But just a quick search would have pulled up so many videos and articles about her and her hatred for Trump, and how her affinity for all this woke nonsense that's going on, and her stance on the LGBT alphabet mafia nonsense. And so here she is lecturing the president at a prayer breakfast, or not a prayer breakfast, at a prayer service. And she's lecturing the president, and by extension, lecturing everyone else who voted for the president and who supports the president. And this was beyond embarrassing.
Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican.
Okay, first of all, the only people who should be fearful of anything are illegal aliens. Nobody is going to be rounding up, hunting down anyone who is dealing with gender confusion, gay, lesbian, whatever the case may be. That's number one. Number two, and perhaps this could even be number one, there is no such thing as a gay, lesbian, or trans child. They don't exist. If a child believes that they are any of those things, that's the parent's fault. That is the parent's fault.
And independent families, some who fear for their lives.
Why?
And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash.
So that's all illegal aliens are good for. That's all these people are good for, is picking our crops and preparing our food and cleaning our buildings. That's it. That is what, whenever I hear people express that view, that tells me so much more about them than it does the illegal aliens of which they're speaking.
wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants, and work the night shifts in hospitals. They may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you have.
Well, Tom Homan said that he's not going to separate families. They can all be deported together. Problem solved.
Help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we were all once strangers in this land.
Anyway, I'm not going to play the rest of that. That's you get the idea. There are a lot of people right now who are circulating this and talking about this woman and saying that as Christians, we need to listen to what she's saying because she is speaking, preaching the word of God. She's not. She is absolutely not. Because the LGBTQ, trans agenda, alphabet mafia, all of that is an abomination to the word of God. Period. End of story. So to get up into a pulpit in a church and spew that nonsense is blasphemy, heresy, whatever you want to call it, but it's not the word of God. And anyone who believes that is showing their ignorance of the Bible. Either their ignorance of the Bible or their complete just rebellion against it. This never should have happened. This never should have happened. This person should never have been allowed in the pulpit for that prayer service. And I hope that someone on the advance team who was responsible for this, I hope that person gets fired, because that should never happen. And that should never happen again. All right, y'all. Let's get into a word from our sponsor. And I'm not going to have the website up because for some reason it won't pull up. And we've been having some technical difficulties. And maybe time for me to get a new computer. I'm not sure. But this week's episode, or today's episode, is brought to us by Carry Girl Gear. That is my beautiful wife's company. And it is for apparel for patriotic women of God, female defenders of faith and the Second Amendment. And like I said at the beginning, now is the time to start shopping for Valentine's Day, fellas. And if you go on the website, carrygirl.com, halfway down the page, maybe not even halfway down the page, you'll see a section of t-shirts specifically for Valentine's Day, and they will be available until February 14th. So go ahead and check that out. Get your wife or your girlfriend some Carry Girl gear. She will love you for it. I guarantee it. The t-shirts are soft. The quality is amazing, if I do say so myself. And also, fellas, you can shop for yourselves there too. The men's section, Mission Ready Men, 7 Armors. There's a section there where you can shop there and get everything all at once. And I recommend that. I recommend that you do that, because you don't want to get. Well, you know what you can do? You can just tell your girlfriend that she got it for you. Tell your wife or your girlfriend that she got it for. That's what my wife does for birthdays and Christmas and stuff like that. She picks out what she wants and she just says, "This is what you got me. Thank you." Anyway, please go ahead and check out carrygirl.com. Not just t-shirts, but glassware as well. We have products from Ben Shot. If you saw the one of the shows I did with the guys at SHR, one of the late night shows, I had a Ben Shot glass with a little bit of an adult beverage in there. So feel free to check that out as well. Glassware, tumblers, jewelry, hats, you name it, you'll be able to find it at carrygirl.com. So head over there for Valentine's Day or just for any occasion and check out all of the great products at carrygirl.com. All right, let's move on to something a little more uplifting than fake bishops and illegal pardons and all of that nonsense, because we are winning. We are absolutely winning. There is so much winning going on. It is not even a joke. We have Marco Rubio, who has been confirmed, and we're going to get into some of the confirmation stuff here in a minute. But Marco Rubio has been confirmed, and he is now our Secretary of State. And one of the first things that he did was issue a directive that only American flags can be flown at State Department facilities. American flags and military flags. Only those can be flown at State Department facilities. And I think that is, I mean, why were they flying BLM and pride flags anyway? Why? It makes no sense. One of the things that I have said in the past is that the left, they were willing to put the BLM and pride flags on those facilities because, as far as they're concerned, those are the flags that they have their allegiance to. They don't have any allegiance to the Stars and Stripes. Not at all. Because they think that the American flag is a flag of oppression. They think that it's a flag of division, even though for as long as we've been in existence, that flag has been a unifying flag. And here's a story at the Washington Free Beacon, and this will be in the show notes as well. Fly the Stars and Stripes only. No more pride or BLM flags. I think this is, like I said, outstanding. The fact that they had these flags flying was an affront to this country. And what do you think other countries thought when they saw those flags flying at our embassies? Now, I know Canada, Justin Trudeau had basically replaced the Canadian flag with the pride flag at some of the Canadian facilities. I can't remember exactly where it was, but there was a famous video of all of the flags at this one building, and there must have been probably 10 of them or so, all replaced with pride flags. Just sick. And here's a quote. I think this is from the memo that was circulated, telling them to take those other flags down. The U.S. flag is a powerful symbol of pride, and it is fitting and respectful that only the U.S. flag be flown or displayed at U.S. facilities, both domestically and abroad. 100%. Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Yeah, the Biden White House had allowed the State Department to fly all kinds of pride flags alongside the official American flag. It was just, the left, as personified by the Biden administration, hates America and hates Americans. There is nothing anyone can tell me to make me believe otherwise. If anyone can prove to me that Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, any AOC, any of the members of the squad, if you can prove to me that they actually do love this country, I'm all ears. But I have to tell you that I've been paying attention to this stuff for a long time. And if any proof exists that they actually do love this country, it has been well hidden by the American Pravda. Well hidden, because as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. Barack Obama famously said in one of his speeches, one of his inauguration speeches, I can't remember if it was the first one, I think it was his first, when he was first elected in 2008, that his goal was to fundamentally transform America. You don't want to fundamentally transform something that you love. And all of his leftist cohorts were going along with it. So they wanted to fundamentally transform this country as well. And again, as I said, you don't want to fundamentally transform something that you love. Anyway, let's move on, because there's more winning. There's more winning to be had. The Lake and Riley Act was passed. It passed the House, passed the Senate. Some amendments went back to the House, and it is now headed to President Trump's desk. He may have signed it already. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the timing is, but I know that it has been passed and it is headed to his desk, and hopefully he will pass it today or tomorrow, or sign it today or tomorrow. The Coast Guard, President Trump fired the Coast Guard commandant, and and now they are surging to Florida. They are surging to the Gulf Coast, the Gulf of America. And I think I have the press release here somewhere. Well, anyway, yeah, the Coast Guard commandant, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she was fired because all she was after, much like the lesbian fire chiefs in LA. All they were about, all she was about, was diversity. And just like the former head of the Secret Service, she had this thing where she wanted 30% of the force to be women, and that's what the former commandant of the Coast Guard was all about. And so he got fired, and that is that is a great thing. And I'm trying to pull up the yeah, here we go. The announcement by the Coast Guard of their immediate action in support of the president's executive orders. And there's a couple of things in here that I want to point out. This is outstanding. The Coast Guard announced immediate action on executive orders issued by the White House on Tuesday. The Coast Guard is the world's premier maritime law enforcement agency, vital to protecting America's maritime borders, territorial integrity, and sovereignty. Admiral Kevin Lundy, the Coast Guard's acting commandant, said. And we'll go down here to the to what some of the things they're going to be doing. They're going to to the southeast U.S. border in Florida and deter and prevent maritime mass migration from Haiti and or Cuba. The maritime border around Alaska, Hawaii, and U.S. territories of Guam and the Northern Mariana Islands, American Samoa, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. The border between the Bahamas and South Florida. The southwest maritime border between the U.S. and Mexico in the Pacific, and the maritime border between Texas and Mexico in the Gulf of America. Yes, the Gulf of America. That's what's up. When I first saw that, I thought, yes, we are so back. And support customs and border protection on maritime portions of the southwest U.S. border. I mean, this is outstanding. And this is what we wanted to see. This is what we voted for. And to have this happen, I mean, we're on day 3. We're on day 3. And like I said, just the winning is just piling up. And I'm here for it. I am absolutely here for it. Now, because the winning is piling up so much, of course, the left is they're trying to play games, and they are playing games with Trump's nominees. They have delayed the confirmation votes of John Radcliffe, which makes no sense because he's already been confirmed as the DNI. And there's been nothing that he's done in the intervening months or years that would cause him to not be confirmed again. It just doesn't make any sense. And they've delayed the vote on Pam Bondi. And then we have Pete Hegseth. And I think we all could have seen this coming. This was completely predictable. There was a hit piece. His former sister-in-law has accused him of domestic violence and his claiming that that he abused her sister. This is, like I said, his ex-sister-in-law, claiming that he abused her sister, excuse me, and she had to like hide in the closets and she was afraid of him and all this nonsense. And she responded and said that that is untrue. And what, I mean, like I said, this is completely predictable. We saw this coming. We absolutely saw this coming. I didn't think it would be his former sister-in-law. I really expected something else from the left, but like I said, this really doesn't surprise me. But they accuse him of domestic abuse, and his ex-wife, the one who the alleged victim of said abuse, said, And here she is. In an email response Monday, Samantha Hegseth, his ex-wife, said, first and foremost, I have not and will not comment on my marriage to Pete Hegseth. I do not have representatives speaking on my behalf, nor have I ever asked anyone to share or speak about the details of my marriage on my behalf, whether it be a reporter, a committee member, a transition team member, etc. She said, I do not believe your information to be accurate, and I have CC'd my lawyer. Asked what information was not accurate and for comment on the affidavit, because her sister submitted an affidavit. She said, there was no physical abuse in my marriage. This is the only further statement I will make on it. I will make to you. I have let you know that I am not speaking and will not speak on my marriage to Pete. Please respect this decision. It doesn't get any more unequivocal than that. The sister is looking for her few minutes of fame. I had an exchange with a friend of mine where I said that she's going to parlay this into a podcast or an OnlyFans career, because what else could she possibly? What other motivation could there be for lying like this about her sister? Now, some people might say, well, her sister put her up to it and she's just doing it. But if that was the case, why would she deny it? Why would she deny it and put her sister in a position to look like a fool? Doesn't make any sense. So as far as I'm concerned, this was her sister, and I would love to know what their relationship is really like, his ex-wife and her sister, because I don't see sisters doing this to each other. So this is, and of course, none of the news outlets that circulated the story mentioned anything about the denial from his ex-wife. They just ran with it. And because of that now, I think this is an excuse for people like Mitch McConnell and Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, the three senators who have said that they are now going to vote against Pete Hegseth's confirmation. This was just the excuse they needed. And so as it stands right now, we have 50 Republican senators willing to vote Pete Hegseth in. Now, if we lose one more squish, he won't get confirmed. So if you're hearing this and you need to contact your senators and let them know, hey, you need to vote for Pete Hegseth. If your senators are Democrats, you'd be wasting your time. You should still do it. You should still do it so that it's on the record, so that they know that not everyone they represent is a leftist like them. But yeah, because it's at 50 senators, J.D. Vance can still step in, break the tie, and get them confirmed. But that's all predicated on the fact that no other Republican senators defect to the dark side. All right. I had a bunch of other stuff I wanted to get to, but I'm going to get you out of here. Which one do I choose? Which one do I choose? Let's see. Maybe I can get them both in. Maybe I can get them both in. The the mayor of Philadelphia is at a rally, and she, well, you know what? I don't even think I can do it justice. I just have to let you see this and hear this for yourselves, because it is absolutely amazing. How this person got elected, I really have no idea, but here we go.
ELGSES, Eagles! Let's go, Birds! ELGSES, Eagles! Let's go, Birds!
Wow.
ELGSES.
Wow. How do you butcher that? How do you butcher that and butcher it that badly? I mean, that was absolutely amazing. And I think I have time to get one last quick one in here. And let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here we go. All right. So one of my favorite representatives, I've been following him for a long time. He's not one of my representatives, unfortunately, but he tells it like it is. And he is on with Jim Acosta, and he just lets Jim Acosta have it. And it is absolutely glorious to watch. So here is Tim Burton and Jim Acosta going at it.
This is not Fox, Congressman. You can't just
left-
spin a tail and pull the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah.
This is CNN. This is the news. We're asking you to
that's
come
why-
on and tell the truth.
And that's why more people are watching the Cartoon Network sponge reruns right now, Jim. Look, I left the White House during a
Wow.
riot. My life was threatened. My life has been threatened within the last few weeks, yet there's no coverage of that. And you all continue this narrative of attacking Trump. You just can't stand the fact that he won and that America spoke.
Congressman,
and that,
no,
and that your
that's not
view
the
is
case.
very
That's
diminished.
not the case at all.
And your view is very diminished.
Tim did lowering the boom on Jim Acosta. That was, he said more people are watching the Cartoon Network. Oh my goodness, that was amazing. All right, y'all. I am out of time, so that's all I got for you right now. I will try to do better the next time. Please remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and share these videos. Leave us some comments. Let us know what you think, because we want to continue to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ and the message of hope and liberty that he provides to as many people as we possibly can, because we want to preserve what we have for future generations. Because if we allow the left to do what they want to do, it will be gone. It will be gone. So we simply cannot have that. Also, if you like the shirt I'm wearing, I know it's kind of hard to see right now. I will not comply. Head over to missionreadymen.com shop 7 armors, or go to carrygirl.com and search the men's line and check out all of the cool designs for Mission Ready Men, 7 armors, and carrygirl.com. We have a number of awesome designs with a message of faith and patriotism. and defending the Second Amendment as well. So missionreadymen.com, shop 7 Armors, carrygirl.com, and check them out. But as always, folks, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away, but the Lord is right there with you. So keep your prayers going up and your head on a swivel. God bless.